So this is where we are. We're on the 21st of September. We brought Sangiovese fruit in yesterday. You can see the must, all the crushed berries and the juice from those berries. You see a little cloudiness, a little emphasized red. That's where we've pitched yeast. And that's one of the things we generally do the day after we bring fruit in, is we create yeast, we rehydrate a specific strain of yeast that we like for the variety that we're going to have, and we temper that yeast over the course of about an hour with juice from the bin, so that we get to a temperature within 10 degrees or so between the yeast and the must, so that the yeast don't get shocked too much as they get dumped into the bins. The way that we tend to like to do our yeast pitching and our sort of initial 5 or 6 days of pre-fermentation, we will pitch the yeast just over the top of the bin, and we'll let it sit there for 5 or 6 days. When the cap starts to form and starts to crack, we'll punch down at that point in time. And the reason why we wait is that there are millions of cells, unicellular species, that come in off fruit. You can get Saccharomyces cerevisiae, which is the yeast from the yeast that will actually make wine for you. You'll get wild yeast, you'll get some bacteria and other things that will begin to ferment in the bins. And generally these kinds of creatures like it cool, and they'll begin to ferment. You might get an alcohol level to 1 or 2% before they die off. They don't like high alcohol. They will add an ineffable complexity to the wine. You won't be able to really taste it per se, but it's sort of a part of the continuum of what the wine is, from the point of must, where it's just fruit juice, to the point where it's wine. And that's sort of been our strategy when we used to do a lot of Pinot Noir, and the same thing we sort of do now with Cabernet and our Italian and Rhone varieties. We're trying to build complexity in our wines from the ground up, so that you have, when you taste a Stephen Kent Winery wine, or you taste Lineage, or Ragbag Wineworks Albarino, you're getting something that has a lot of complexity, a lot of deliciousness to it. So once we pitch the yeast, we will cover the bins, we'll smell them every day, make sure that we don't have any off odors, which would require us to do certain things. And when we get a cap that's cracked, we'll start punching down, and at that point it's sort of like a adrenaline to the heart. You have all this sugar and a big yeast bomb there dropped in there, and the yeast go crazy. Temperatures will rise dramatically over the course of the next couple of days. You'll get a lot of foaming, you'll get a lot of movement, and at that point we'll start punching down too, to extract color and tannin from the grapes as well. So this is the start. This is our first red grape in harvest 2018. We've got probably another, I'm gonna say, 50 or 60 bins before we're done.